everybody, and welcome to Mesa Verde National Park in Mesa Verde, Colorado. Today, we're going to be going on a tour around the park and talking about all the things that we may come across. Before going on our tour, I'll give you guys a little background history to Mesa Verde National Park. The park was established as a national park on June 29, 1906 by President Roosevelt. President Roosevelt wanted to establish this park as a way to preserve the works of man. You might not know what that means now, but we'll get into that in a minute. One more fact before we go. You might be wondering what Mesa Verde means, and it means green tableland in Spanish. You might not see a lot of that behind me right now, but as we get going, you'll see more of that. Alright, let's go. Okay, so moving along. Does anyone remember when I said President Roosevelt wanted to preserve this park as a way to preserve the works of man? Well, that's because the archaeological sites that we're about to see were created and built by Puebloans who lived in Mesa Verde for over 700 years. During the late 1190s, ancestral Puebloans began living in the pueblos that they built underneath the overhanging cliffs. By 1270, the Puebloans began migrating into present-day New Mexico and Arizona, and by 1300, the ancestral Puebloan occupation of Mesa Verde had ended. One more fact before we keep moving. Some names of the Puebloans who inhabited Mesa Verde of Mexico included the Santa Clara, the Nambe, San Felipe, Santa Ana, Laguna, and much more. Those are just to name a few. There's about 24 more tribes of Puebloans who lived in Mesa Verde for over 700 years. Okay, now let's go on to the archaeological sites. The cave dwellings you see behind me were the homes of the Pueblos who inhabited Mesa Verde. At first, they built these pueblos in the center of the canyon, but then migrated towards the wall and underneath the cave dwellings for natural protections from nomadic intruders. Each dwelling had about 2 to 4 stories, and the lower areas served as terraces. As you can see, pueblos like this had about 4 stories, and the area over here were the terraces. The floor rooms lacked doors and windows, so the only way you could get in was by climbing up one of the ladders to get into a higher area. As you can see, there's ladders like right here and right here. This also helped because if the community were attacked by any reason, they could pull up the ladders and no one would be able to get up to their area. Now let's talk about what the Pueblos used to make these pueblos. The Puebloans constructed their homes from hand-cut stone blocks and mortar, which is made from adobe, which is a heavy clay soil. More specifically, adobe is a sun-dried brick and is one of the oldest and most common building materials known to man. These bricks they used consisted of sand, gravel, clay, water, and straw or grass mixed together, which were then dried by the sun. Mortar is relatively weak and susceptible to moisture-absorptive swelling and shrinking, thermal expansion and contraction, and deterioration. If deterioration did occur, Puebloans had a plan to reconstruct the mortar. In order to maintain the adobe brick, Puebloans would often ground up fragments of the original brick and mix it with water to patch an eroded area. Now, let's move on to geology. Follow me. Alright guys, before we go, I'll give you a little background on the geologic history behind Mesa Verde. Throughout the Cretaceous period, Manco Shale, which is a geologic formation of the western United States, was deposited on top of Dakota sandstone, which can be found under most of Colorado. Fine-grained sandstones, mudstones, and shale accumulated in deep water during this period, which is primarily where the Puebloans got their material to make their homes. Alright guys, that's all we have time for today. Thank you for coming, and I hope you enjoyed Mesa Verde National Park. Bye!